Have you not listened to your elders, my friend?
I've listened to the elder, but I don't listen to.
Okay, you have.
Welcome to Right Between the Eyes podcast, a KISS podcast with 3 generations of KISS fans telling you why we love it loud.
This gets me. You look out into the audience and you see a 50-year-old gentleman with KISS makeup on, and next to him is his son, who's 30 or whatever the amount is, and on his shoulders is this kid, and they're all in makeup, and you do that. I'm the big bad guy. That's when you turn around and you go, because it gets you, because it's more than music.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Right Between the Eyes podcast, a KISS podcast with 3 generations of KISS fans telling you why we love it loud. I'm one of your hosts, Rob Myers, and welcome to the In My Head version of the Road to Rosemont. So hopefully you've enjoyed the 2 previous episodes, being Xander's Road to Rosemont and the Caruso's Road to Rosemont, and now Brant's version of the Road to Rosemont, that all of these conversations went together to create one episode 45 on our audio version of the podcast. So hopefully moving forward, there will be an identical video and audio version of the show with, some couple audio flares here and there, depending on what version that I put up, because of some people don't like audio here or there or whatever. But neither here nor there. This is Brant and I's version of the Road to Rosemont. And like I said, moving forward, everybody will be on the same screen, so you will see like the Brady Bunch version of all of us, segregated. Or if you are an audio only version, then you shouldn't notice any difference. So not much more to say here other than here's Brant and I's version of what the third and final piece that completed the whole episode 45 version of the Road to Rosemont. This is going to be a really cool series, and by the time we reach November, we will all be seeing KISS for the last time together. So here we go. The In My Head version of the Road to Rosemont. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Right Between the Eyes podcast, a KISS podcast with 3 generations of KISS fans telling you why we love it loud. I'm one of your hosts, Rob Myers. Welcome to episode 45, The Road to Rosemont 1, number 1. You can follow us on all our social media handles. We're on Twitter at RBTE Podcast. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/Right Between the Eyes podcast. You can find us on Instagram. If you'd like to email into the show, you can do so at rightbetweentheeyes podcast@gmail.com. You can watch us on YouTube and look at Right Between the Eyes podcast. And if you like to pick up some of the merch that I'm currently not wearing at the moment, you could do so at virtualmerchbooth.com/RBTE podcast. The great guys from Virtual Merch Booths, aka Repro Tees, are doing all of our merchandise for us. So thank you guys. And if you listen on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or any of your podcast catchers, rate and leave a review of the show, and we will read that as well. Like I said, I'm Rob, and I would not do the show without my 2 co-hosts, Nick and Nico Caruso. Guys, how are you doing this evening? 3, 2, 1. And also, it's the Road to Rosemont, so the whole band is here. More on that later on in the episode. Joining us from KISS Army Things, Xander. You can follow his show on YouTube at youtube.com/KISS Army Things, and you can also find him on Facebook at facebook.com/KISS Army Things. Xander, how are you doing this evening, sir? 3, 2, 1. And of course, last but never least, my good friend Brant from In My Head. You can find his show on YouTube at youtube.com/InMyHead, and you can follow his channel on Twitter at In My Head Channel. Brant, how are you doing this evening, sir?
Man, I'm awesome. If I was any more excited, there'd be 2 of me.
So this is cool to get the whole band together, and a little peek behind the curtain. This is going to be an editing foray for Rob, that all of us were not able to be together, but what you are hearing is hopefully going to sound like one cohesive show. So pieces may slide and get moved around, and you'll be able to see video outtakes later on our YouTube channel. So it's great to have everyone here tonight. So let's just go to our first question. So now I'm just going to be asking all these towards you. So why Rosemont? Why did you choose Rosemont? And you have a unique story with the band Brant, you personally, that you have quite a gap in your Kiss concert career. You care to expound on that? What made you choose the Road to Rosemont?
Well, basically, I chose the Road to Rosemont because of you guys. I chose Rosemont. I chose, I've sat out watching Kiss and seeing Kiss on tour since after the farewell tour, early 2000s. And I've just not had an interest. And I was kind of interested when the end of the road came around. I really toyed around with going and seeing some shows. Wasn't really happy. What turned me off at that point was I wasn't really happy with ticket prices because they were a lot more expensive than they are now.
Yeah.
Whenever the end of the road started. And then I wasn't real thrilled with the set list. But I did love the stage. Tommy and Eric being in the makeup aside, this is the final tour. And, I'm one of those people that I've just kind of come to accept that Ace and Peter are not going to be back on this in any shape or form. If you remember 3 years ago, we were all excited about the possibility of Ace and Peter showing up somewhere, maybe showing up random dates or things like that. We're in a whole different landscape than we were with the band 3 years ago. And so now it's kind of become predictable more than that. It's just kind of been basically the same set, same stage for the last 3 years. But I am excited because who knows what they're going to do when they come back from being overseas and they hit these last shows, and our show's fourth from the end. And so I'd finally decided, well, I'm going to go see Kiss. I'm going to go see them. And I was originally looking at going to the Knoxville show, Knoxville, Tennessee, because it's only about 3 hours from me. I really couldn't get interest in anybody going with me. My wife didn't want to go with me. And so I started thinking about taking my friend. And then I heard that you guys and the Carusos and Xander and Jeb and Daphne were going to be there. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to buy a ticket. And I think I bought my ticket. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, but I think I bought my ticket without even telling you guys I was going to.
Yeah. That was, you bought the ticket and then you showed me, and you were really clever how you did it. You showed like a little corner of the blue. I think I saw like maybe Eric's shoulder, and I was like, holy crap. He just bought his ticket. He's going. Dude, you should have seen the smile on my face. I was so giddy. And that's something that, all of us have been talking about in these last 2 years of becoming fast friends with everybody here on this channel. And I didn't think in my wildest dreams it was probably going to be years or something like that before we might possibly have a chance to run into each other. Surely I thought, well, there's a good chance to see Xander. There's a good chance to see the Carusos being in Chicago. But I thought, I'm going to have to go a distance to see you. We're going to have to try and meet up somewhere. So I'm very stoked to be able to, look you in the eye, shake your hand, and just laugh and have a good time. And, we've all been saying, seeing Kiss in concert, that's going to be great. But it's almost going to become the backdrop to everything else that we're going to have time to talk before, after the show, record something, and just experience all of our last shows together. It's going to be really cool.
And have this 6-month ride leading up to the show.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to be the cool thing about doing this, and any satellite shows that break off from the main show, for people watching, listening, or whatever, that it's going to be a journey for them to go. It's going to be so cool not to see the Brady Bunch on the screen, but there'll be just one camera, one screen with all of us, and we could all put up the exact same video on all of our channels. And I think that's going to be something really cool for people to see. Now, with you being farther east south than the rest of us, I would take it this is your first time to Chicago, that you have not seen anything else in Chicago. Have you done like any work thing in Chicago, or?
No, I've never been to Chicago. This will be a first.
Gotcha. So, a question everybody's asked, have you been to Chicago to see a show? So what is the farthest that you've gone to a show prior to this one? Is this going to be the farthest to go see a show?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. The furthest I've gone south, I've gone to Florida to see a show. I've never gone probably north of Virginia to see a show, and I've never gone west of Tennessee to see a show.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's kind of like us. We're right in this, tri-state area, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, I think we've even been to Kentucky. So this is what I'm going to pause to get just some notes here. Xander and Jeb. Oh, okay. So with us being in section 111, Xander and Jeb are just up above us in 211. Where are you located in the arena?
I think. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me look. I can tell you real quick. I want to say. I think I know. I just want to verify.
Because I think we're Tommy's side. I think.
That's my VIP package. I'm going to go back a little further. Online, Kiss Online. Kiss Online. When did I buy my tickets? Oh, man.
If not, this section could be edited out. We can.
Yeah.
The next video we
let's
can
see. No, I've got it. Where would tickets come from? They come from Ticketmaster, don't they?
Ticketmaster, yeah.
Okay, I'm looking for a long thing.
Oh yeah, the VIP is gonna. And I just saw what the
VIP comes from them. So End of the Road. Password's been updated. Tickets. You got the tickets. Okay. I'm glad I said something because I was getting ready to say the wrong thing.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to start that part again?
Yeah. Okay. So 3, 2, 1. So we are in section 111. Xander and Jeb were trying to get as close to us as they could, but they were up another section. So they're 211, 212. I believe they said they were 211. Just curious, like where you are in relation to us, or the other side of the arena, or.
I am in 215, which is one of the sections, upper level sections, that is straight back from the stage on the Gene side.
Oh, okay. So you're almost directly across from us. We've been talking about you finding a meat place, the Crusoes. Let me say that again. 3, 2, 1. Nick and Nico, like you guys definitely know, a meeting place. So as we get closer, we'll figure all that stuff out. And I've got an idea, for maybe all of us to congregate together in somebody's section in the arena, like as they're tearing stuff down, and do like a closing little thing with all of us in a shot, or maybe jet back to somebody's hotel room or something like that. So I think that would be really cool to be able to do that. But we'll talk about that towards the tail end of the show here. So how many times would you say have you seen the band, if you had to count? And I've done something nerdy. I have an Excel spreadsheet that I've listed every single show that I've seen in the above column, and the column going down on the left-hand side is every song that I've heard. So in my Excel spreadsheet, if I've seen Detroit Rock City once in Detroit in 2000, whatever, I've got that calculating across the other end, and it's giving me a total. So when I'm all said and done, I can go, oh, I've seen Detroit Rock City 15 times or whatever. So that's something nerdy I'm doing, but just kind of cool to hear everybody's number of how many times have you seen the band.
I estimate that I've probably seen the band between 15 to 20 times, going all the way back to Dynasty.
That was my next question. Your oldest show.
Dynasty is my oldest show. In 79, when I was 10, it was like the fourth show, the fourth date on the tour.
That's cool. So set list changes. we've, as Kiss fans, we talk about it till we're blue in the face. You and I just did a show not that long ago about what would surprise us at a Kiss show. At the time of this recording, it's not released yet, but you've already seen it. Making Love is the most notable change at the moment. Is there, and you haven't seen any of the End of the Road shows, so this, aside from me reading Setlist FM, you kind of know what's coming. Do you have any expectations into the show? You mentioned just a little bit ago that maybe these final batch of shows, they'll do something, or is the set list really not important for you at the moment?
I would like to see them change maybe 25% of the show. I'd like to see them change 50% of the show. Mm-hmm. You know, on the thing that we did, we changed out 9. We did the 9 and we changed out 9. And that was really hard to do.
It was. For
me as a fan. So I imagine how hard it would be for them to do as a band. And it'd be a bunch of extra rehearsing and reprogramming of stage stuff and all that stuff. So I think at the best that we're probably going to see by the time they get to us is we may hopefully at most probably see about 3 at the most, and that's being liberal. We'll probably maybe see 3 changes. Honestly, by the time we get to the show, I'm going to be so hyped up with having talked with this show with you guys about this show, and flying there with my childhood friend Scott, who's coming with me, and going to the meeting you guys, because I'm going to be up there a couple days before. So meeting anybody that I can meet ahead of time, and then just hanging out, any amount of hanging out that we can do, and then going to the sound check. By the time it comes around to the show, I believe I'm just going to get in a zone and just try to enjoy it, because it's going to be my last time seeing the band. So I really don't care how Paul banters. I really don't care if he does click tracks or not, or vocal tracks or not. I know they do click tracks, but if he does vocal tracking or not, I really don't care. I'm going to become one of those people that I'm going for that one last time experience. I really don't care what songs they sing. If they sing the exact same set list on that night that they sung a couple nights ago, wherever they were, if they sing that exact same set list. And I have really started looking at the set list. Like, I'll go online and I'll see when the next time they're playing. And then whenever they play, I'll go to Setlist FM and look and see what they played. I'm kind of starting to do that now. And I hope they do start changing some stuff out. And I hope that the set changes, because that'll give us some real cool stuff to nerd out about during this series. But if they don't change a thing, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be happy, and I'm going to be content, because it's going to be my last show, and it's going to be with people that I want to be around. Yeah.
You know, on our show that you and I did, Brant, we were talking about, you know, what set list changes that would surprise us. And, you know, anytime you say something to the band, they're like, oh, nobody wants to hear the Elder. They always go to like the most extreme. And I'm just looking at the End of the Road set list. Songs that were already played were Let Me Go Rock and Roll, Hide Your Heart, and Parasite were in the original part of the 2019 set moving forward. Then songs dropped in and out. Tears Are Falling came in and out. You know, even like we're Making Love, they swapped out Making Love for Tears Are Falling, which makes me sad. But if that was the swap out song from Night to Night, they've already got the lighting cues set for all of those songs. I think that would be interesting, that there's a song in there between Tears, Making Love, Let Me Go, Hide Your Heart, and Parasite that I think any fan would go, oh, we got Hide Your Heart tonight. We got Parasite. That in the days of not knowing when set lists and things were coming, that made a show exciting. But I get the digital age, all the lighting cues, all the pyro that lasts this long, it does this much. So I'm just hoping there's a US change that's going to be the show all the way through the US, but at least it's something different for all of us. But like you said, it's the backdrop. It's meeting everyone. It's being able to look at somebody in the eye, shake their hand and go, man, that was awesome. Or what, wasn't that cool? Or I can't believe I'm walking out with this much merch.
Yeah, I'm going to try to have a little bit of some coin for merch.
Something silly that I do in a venue. Sometimes I think my wife finds it cute, and other times she's like, not right now. I'm a venue person. I'm a building person. In some place new, I like to walk the layout of the building. I like to look at, the architecture, stuff like that. Do you do anything like that when you're in a new environment, or is it more, I'm just here for the show, let me get to my seat and let's start it?
I'm usually not in a big hurry to get to my seat. I mean, if I have a seat, if it's general admission, yeah, we used to get in line and we used to race down the steps and get to the front and fight your way to the front and get against the barrier. But it's kind of like, if I have a seat and I know that I have a seat and my seat's secured, my seat's safe. Yeah, I mean, the last thing I really want to do is go just sit in my seat and just twiddle my thumbs and be like, okay, well, I'm here. Let's wait 45 minutes for the opening band to start, or let's wait 45 minutes for the band to start. I'm going to be walking around. I'm going to be walking around with you guys. We're not sitting together. So
yeah,
I want to try to spend as much time with you guys
Mm-hmm.
and us. If it's walking around and just seeing the layout, seeing, oh, you're sitting here. Well, let's walk over to where my section is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to be over here. Oh, well, look, I could look over and I could possibly see you, or I mean, we're just going to be, but it's going to be dark, but at least we'll know the general direction to look in to, to where we could like give each other a virtual, a thumbs up or, the devil horns or
Right.
whatever.
Or I see the camera light come on. Brant's doing SOS from across the arena.
Yeah, camera light. But it's just going to be cool to do that. And like I said, I would love for us to, possibly talk about it later on down the road, like scheduling not only a place, putting in a designated place for us to kind of meet up, but for anybody that watches any of our channels that's going to be there. I already know some people that watch my channel that are going to be there or may possibly be there. So I think it'd be cool if we did and we'll talk about it as we go on down in the next 6 months, but I think it'd be cool for us to meet up either before the show, whatever, because my hotel's like real near to the venue, or and then kind of meeting up, just kind of us, maybe record some stuff and just hang out, maybe get something to eat together and just hang out and enjoy each other's company and get to know each other in person. And then I think it'd be cool to have a fan meetup, to say, hey, we're going to be in this section at this time. And if people show up, great. If they don't, then we're just going to stand there and nerd out on, oh my God, either we're excited about seeing the show, or, oh my gosh, we just saw the show and it was amazing.
Look at what that guy's wearing. Why is he wearing that?
Right. Yeah.
Or I got to get a picture with that guy.
Right.
Yeah. So, that'll be awesome. That's just the thing. I think just the build up, getting to this is just going to make the show that much better, that we're doing this series. Just it really makes me happy to be going down this road. So speaking of going to the Road to Rosemont, I'm going to pause here real quick. Did you watch the 97 show? Okay. So 3, 2, 1. Speaking of Rosemont, we're not going to go track by track and analyze all this, but I do want to kind of look at it from like a 50-foot view, if you will, that the Rosemont show, the first reunion show. Now, Nick had the privilege of seeing his first show in Rosemont, and he is also seeing his last show at Rosemont. So 3, 2, 1. Let me get into that better. 3, 2. He saw, Nick, you did see your first show at Rosemont, correct? 3, 2. So I think that's going to be pretty cool. So let's just go to Rosemont, July 14th, 3, 2, 1. July 14th, 1997, and let's go to Rosemont. All right, 3, 2, 1. So some of us have already talked about the reunion show. Brant, you were on a round table where we were talking about some of our favorite stages, and with Xander as well, about the reunion show, as big as and hyped as it is, that the reunion stage was kind of a forgettable stage. I got a chance to the Detroit show, and then little did I know that Nick and I would be in the same place in Fort Wayne, Indiana, seeing a show. And even when we did our roundtable, thinking of the reunion stage of going, what was the thing that they did on that? It was the speakers that rose, and, you know, Gene flew and stuff like that. But just your thoughts on this show specifically, and, you know, the reunion tour as a whole. Like, what are your takeaways, you know, from watching this recorded footage, and even just your own experience from seeing some reunion shows?
Watching this footage, it just kind of put me back into what the experience was truly like. This had been, you have to remember, this is something that we never thought would happen. It was kind of like the Eagles, you know, hell froze over.
Mm-hmm.
We never thought we would get this. And so we got a second chance to see, and I got to see the band that I had last seen in like 82 when I was 13 on the Creatures tour in makeup. And it wasn't the original band, you know, Peter was gone, Ace was gone. And so you go back all the way to the original lineup. The last time I saw the original lineup before the reunion when I was 10 in 79. And I remember initially being disappointed that they didn't utilize, because when I saw that they were using the Love Gun costumes, first thing I thought is they're going to do some kind of modern version of the Love Gun stage. And that didn't happen. And I remember initially kind of being disappointed. But just like the rest of the people in that video, when a song started, people exploded. It doesn't matter what song it was. I don't care what song it was. Do You Love Me? I don't, you know, songs that just feel so dated now and so played. They didn't feel that way the night of those reunion shows. It didn't feel that way. And I only was able to see, I saw the reunion show. I can't remember. I either saw the reunion show twice and the farewell once, or I saw the reunion show once and the farewell twice. I have to look back at my stuff and my brain and try to figure it out. But I remember singing along to the songs, just like you hear everybody in that crowd, and everybody just going crazy when they started playing a song and started doing the things that they do, their normal shtick, stuff like that. When they line up and start doing the sideways things for Deuce, and just their show that they did, that they replicated in such a faithful way to the way it had been done. It was like being a kid again. It really was. It was. And even though I wasn't that old, I was probably 20 something during that time. It just felt, I was, let's see, 97, I was 28. You know, it just felt so good. And I look back on it and watching that video, it's just, I get put back to being there again. Anytime I see any reunion show stuff, the Tiger Stadium stuff, anytime I see any of that stuff from the reunion, it's like not only being back there, but also being a kid again.
You talk about your age in, you know, 96 when the Tiger Stadium, I was 22. By the time I saw the Lost Cities tour, you know, I was, you know, 23 years old. So that's just wrapping my head around a time of going, I wonder if we'll ever see Kiss in makeup, and thinking every long form video that we ever watched, any interview, they were always like, nope, never going to happen. It's never going to happen. So, you know, magic is the only word that you can say. So right here is where I'm going to insert a comment Nico made. He asks a question. He makes a statement and says he lives in a world where he pretty much knows the set list. So he asks, what was it like going to a show and not knowing from song to song what you were getting? So just your reaction on that. Like, what was it like going to the show and hearing, oh my gosh, they're doing I Stole Your Love?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. We didn't know. And it was, you never knew what to expect. And that was just just more of the magic about it. Set lists and stuff like that wasn't really discussed back then. So you didn't have the magic of the internet or Setlist FM or something like that at the time. So it kind of made the show. You had more surprises. You know what I mean? You had more surprises. And sometimes there was disappointments because you might be sitting here going, oh man, I hope they play Making Love. And if you walked into and you'd be like, man, they didn't play Making Love. But if you would have already known on the set list that they had not played that, they've been touring for a year and they've not played Making Love, you went in there not expecting to hear that song anyway.
I remember sitting in the seats for Tiger Stadium, and my best friend and I seriously had a conversation of like, well, we know they're not going to play anything from Revenge. And we both went, well, they all know Hide Your Heart. We actually thought there was a legitimate chance that we would hear Hide Your Heart because Ace had recorded a version and Kiss had recorded a version.
Mm-hmm.
But, Nick makes the comment of saying it's like Alive and Alive 2 made love and had a baby. And this is the fruits of those two albums on stage for 2 hours. The set was just magical, even from your own review or reunion show experience and, watching this Rosemont show, some highlights or, watching you Rock Bottom, I Stole Your Love, that's 26 years ago. And some of those songs, New York Groove, when was the last time any of us have heard New York Groove? So just some of your thoughts on some of those songs or just some reunion songs that just stick out to you.
I remember being surprised that Ace got New York Groove. It's weird because it doesn't New York Groove to me doesn't feel like a Kiss song. And and it's technically not a Kiss song. And I'm what other song could Ace have done that had been done live? He could have maybe done some stuff off of Dynasty, or he could have maybe done Talk to Me. But Talk to Me is one of those songs that just doesn't really do anything for me live either, even though I know he's done it. So Ace had Shocked Me, and he really didn't have anything like that.
I think for a while they did 2000 Man too.
Yeah, and 2000 Man. Yeah, they did 2000 Man on the Dynasty tour. That would have been great. I would have rather had 2000 Man than New York Groove.
Yeah, they played 2000 Man in Detroit, but I don't know if it lasted much farther beyond that. I think by the Lost Cities tour, all the Ace had was the dual vocal of Cold Gin, Shock Me, and New York Groove. But knowing that was the only solo song that made the reunion tour set, I wondered if that was a sticking point for Ace. Like, I'm doing this song. It was my hit. If you want me back in the band, we're doing this song.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it could have been a stipulation. It could have been a stipulation because Ace and because of the way Ace and Peter was during that time, it could have been.
A video that I watched right before we all recorded, I was just, start going down the YouTube Kiss rabbit hole, and I found a convention tour of the official, 95, 96 convention tour. And I remembered Eric Singer's got a drum clinic. So I watched the Detroit drum clinic, and he got asked on his drum clinic if he was worried or any thoughts of there being a reunion coming up. And Eric makes this really, now it seems, prophetic statement where he goes, I don't know if that'll happen. The other two guys aren't exactly, he's like, they're going to play different. They're going to be different. He goes, and I don't know if something like that would ever actually really happen. So 26, some odd years later going, that's really kind of crazy that at the time that he made that statement, they were 2 weeks away from filming MTV Unplugged. And he was kind of like, I just don't see it ever happening. I even wonder back then if there was some rumblings of stuff. I'm just kind of curious. It's asking everyone here, what do you think of that statement from Eric, thinking I don't think it'll ever happen. Do you think that was a thing like, oh, it's not going to happen. And once MTV Unplugged happens, he just went, oh crap.
Honestly, I know people will probably disagree with me when it comes to this, but I don't think when Kiss started getting together, when Kiss started getting together during some of the conventions, like when Peter played, came up and sang and stuff like that, do I think that Paul and Gene thought the next logical step was, hey, let's get the band together and let's do this new thing that MTV's been doing called Unplugged, and let's get up there and unplug, and let's shock everybody and bring Ace and Peter on to play the last few songs with bring them out and then bring out the rest of the band. I think that was something that could have been very calculated. Do I think that at the time that they did Unplugged, the very next step in their calculation was to put the band back together and put the makeup on? Honestly, don't. A lot of people probably think I'm foolish and stupid for thinking that, but honestly don't think. I think it may have become an idea possibly quickly after with the success of Unplugged. But that night that they were sitting there recording that and everything and leading up to the recording, the rehearsals and stuff for that, I think that was the furthest thing from their mind.
They went right into start pre-production on Carnival of Souls like 2 days after MTV Unplugged.
Right. They were making an album, so I don't think it was their intention to. The only reason Carnival of Souls got shelved was the plain and simple fact that Unplugged took off, and especially the part with Ace and Peter, and the fans started demanding that they wanted to see those four guys together again. Honestly, I think Unplugged was great. I think it was great, but had it in an alternate world where Ace and Peter didn't get back and come and play at the end of Unplugged, it would have been a good Kiss show. It would have been a good Kiss album, but I don't think it would have been as big as it was, and there wouldn't have been a reunion after the fact. It was just the plain and simple fact that Ace and Peter were there that made all the old diehards want that band back, and it made Gene and Paul start feeling nostalgia about it and see, hey, there's some possible money to be made here. And then they just started. Then I think they started calculating those steps.
And the funny thing is, we talked about the stage. The stage very well could have been the reason the stage is the way that it was. They didn't have that reunion money. This is the stage that we can use and create that's a little bit newer, but I don't think they really had the capital in '96 until by the end they get of the reunion tour. Then you get the 3D Psycho Circus tour and the band is up and running. So I think part of the reunion tour stage of being what it was just, hey, we just got the band back. It's bare bones, and that's going to put butts in the seat. And boy, I think we can blame or thank the Eagles and the MTV Video Awards where David Lee Roth comes out with Van Halen. Everybody went bonkers. Then little do they know, Gary Sharon's in a hotel going, yeah, we're recording Van Halen 3 while David Lee Roth is it's on stage.
Yep.
All right. Let me check my notes here. I know this is going to be really bizarre for you, like not doing a full normal show.
It's cool.
Videos. We'll touch on the sound check here in just a second. Just any other thing from the footage that you watched. Do you have any like little tidbits of something you thought was cool? If you've already answered that, we can zip on, because like I said, if we would start going track by track, this will turn into a whole thing.
Yeah.
Everybody just
No, I mean, following up on that, I mean, the songs I really enjoyed seeing on the video and remembering that I got to see them also, and just remembering how excited I was, just songs like I Stole Your Love, Watching You, Rock Bottom, songs that, you know, they used to be common staples for the band, and we just don't get to hear those songs. Strutter, you know, even though I'm not the biggest fan of Strutter, they played Strutter because they really threw it back old school for the reunion tour. And kind of in a way, I wish they would kind of do that. And maybe with these last few dates, who knows? Maybe they could pull this set list right here that's for the Rosemont. They could pull that set list, and I'd be happy, man.
I mean, this is where Nick would say 3/4 of this set list. You know, he makes a comment to me like, I know you're an 80s guy, but if they replicate this set list and maybe throw 2 80s songs in there, you'd have a darn near perfect set list.
Oh yeah, I agree.
So as we're winding down here, you know, the question I want to ask everyone, and Brant, I'm going to start with you first on this one, is since you have a bigger gap than any of us, some of us have just continued to see shows like Xander and I, it's like, oh, we'll see another one. We'll see another one. And the Caruso's filled her in. Is there a thing, and maybe you don't even know what this thing is yet, when the last piece of confetti hits the floor, on the stage lights, the house lights come back on, is there, and we're probably still too far away to answer this, but is there a moment or a thing that you're going to want to try and lock in your head to remember for the rest of the time to go, I got to do X, Y, or Z, or I got to see this, or I got to do that, or has that thought even not hit you yet, or what you want to try and take away with you from this show, this experience?
I think the primary thing that I'm going to want that I will end up taking away from the show, I think I'll take 3 things away from the show. I'll take the time, just however little, however much that I get to spend with you and with Xander and with the other guys, with Nick and Nico. I'm not trying to put a high level expectation on a lot of people, because I know everybody's going to have their own thing, and I'm not trying to, once we all get together, be like, no, you stay with me. You're here. Yeah, you know, but I am looking forward to that time, however little, however much it is. I'm also going, my friend Scott, who I introduced to Kiss when he was a kid. And I've talked about him. He's been in my videos with me before, and he's going to be there with me. And so just having those experiences with him, you know, that's one thing I've really I've been careful to try not and do, is not try to get so focused on seeing you guys that I forget about the guy that's standing beside me. Yeah. Or that's going to be there with me. But he's been there with me for the last 40 years. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to really taking away every little bit that I can from the sound check. If it's just listening to every little word that they say in between songs, because it just seems, from stuff that I've watched online, it just seems so candid and just so up close and personal. And, you know, they're throwing picks. I've seen at the end of one video where Gene throws a handful of picks, and so they're just popping picks out and popping picks out everywhere. So I'd like to get a pick. I'd like to have something to bring back with me. I'd like to get some confetti. Mm-hmm. Even if I got to go down to the floor and get it, I'd like to get me some confetti, because I'm not going to be nowhere near the floor. And then I just want to try to remember everything, even though I've watched videos of the end of the road. I know what the set looks like. I know what I know what it's going to sound like, other than just being louder and bassier and beefier. And being in that experience of the other people there and feeling that vibe of everybody there. But I just want to take home my personal experience and my personal emotions of seeing the show for the last time. You know, yeah, I mean, I'm just probably those 3 things. And it's been so long since I've seen the band, that right there, just seeing them again for the first time in person is going to be just kind of real surreal.
Mm-hmm.
this band that I have still continued to support with my purchases and watching their videos and making videos about them for the last 5 years. And because like you got to think, I've not seen the band in 20 years. A quarter of that I've been making videos about them. So a quarter of that time. So yeah, so I'm just looking forward to all of it, honestly. I'm going to try to take something away from everything.
That's awesome. Now, you mentioned it. So you and I, you bought your ticket and didn't say anything. And then I was toying on a show of like, oh, am I going to do the $1,000 meet and greet? And I was looking at selling some comic books and doing that stuff. And I'm like, you know what? That sounds like a rush thing to do. And my wife's like, just do the sound check. She goes, you want that opportunity to hang out with Brant and everybody else that potentially could do it. So you got your sound check. I went and got my sound check, and I'm looking at Xander, and it looks like you're wanting to toy with it a little bit. And this is where 3, 2, 1, Nick and Nico make a comment about it. So talk about, potentially spending time together. We could all be watching our own little mini Kiss Unmasked concert, grabbing pics, and we could the whole group of us, the pack of us, could be all in a row and experience the band like I would have dreamed of done a set list. Xander and I were side by side in the Dayton show, and we were too dumb, right, Xander, to take pictures of one another. So I don't want to let those moments go by. So, you've already talking about the sound check. I can't wait to experience that with you and then everybody else here if we do that again. I'm not trying to push anybody, but
that to me is just going to be the sound check. Whether I would love if it's all 5 of us or whoever else is there that knows us, that kind of comes in and goes, oh man, you guys are here too. But I'm so looking forward to you and Xander and whoever Xander has with him, Jeb, Daphne, whoever's with him, and Nick and Nico and my friend Scott. Man, we're going to be like our own little group.
Be our little pack.
And whenever they start playing a song, we're just going to look at each other. They're playing that, we're all going to, it's that right there is just going to be, I mean, that's going to be worth the night to me. Mm-hmm. That's the show afterwards is just the icing on the cake, but the cake is going to be that 35 or so minute sound check, that experience that we get, and that little Q&A session that we get, and seeing them be so candid and joking around. And
it's going to be cool to be backstage, to have our own little backstage pass and be in a part of the arena that no one else is going to get to be in. Mm-hmm. That we're going to sit in our seats, whether they're nosebleed or floor or wherever, and we get to go, we were right there on that floor, and Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Eric, and Tommy were 20 feet from us, mm-hmm. 10 feet from us.
And we were the only ones in the arena. We weren't in there with another 10. I don't know how big that arena is, 10,000, 15,000. I don't know how big it is. But that's a very, because they only sell a limited number, mm-hmm. and then that's it. So just from the different videos I've seen, it doesn't look like it's a huge amount of people.
No.
And so that alone is just going to be so cool.
Yeah, I can't wait. So as far as our show, Right Between the Eyes, the hashtag through our whole series is going to be RBTE RTR, Road to Rosemont. So if you're watching any of our channels, I don't know if Brant's going to do any tags or whatever, tag us, follow us. If you are going to this Rosemont show on any of our channels, message us. If you're going to sound check, send messages. Let's see if we can't get a group of us that if you've watched any or all of our channels, it's going to be really cool to be able to meet, talk to one another. And if it's just like the 6 of us, then it's just going to be a great night, especially with you bringing somebody new that the rest of us haven't met. Just meeting another Kiss fan is icing on the cake. So before I let you go, any final thoughts that you have on this series, are you planning on doing any break off Rosemont episodes on your own?
Yeah, I am. I actually am planning on doing some, and I'm going any video that I do on my channel that I break off from the primary on RBTE. I'm going to try to include you guys. If if schedules align, sometimes with getting 5 people to agree on a certain night at a certain time is sometimes challenging.
Yeah.
But if I can, I'll try to get as many people as I can, because I would like to have as many people as that's going in that discussion. I figure that I can usually always, most of the time, get you, maybe sometimes get Xander, maybe once in a blue moon. Maybe I'm not going to really try to bother the Carusos. They can be in the videos on your channel. But I would like I'm looking forward to not only being in videos about this on your channel, but on Xander's as well. But yeah, I do have some videos in mind. One of the videos that I think that I would like to do with all of us would be like an origins video. We kind of discussed our first show, but I would like to maybe just have a video that just goes a little deeper than that. Origins of your Kissdom, your Kiss fan. Yeah, and to maybe talking about, if you have a collection, what did you start collecting with? What's your mode of collecting? There's different modes of collecting. What era do you, just all kinds of different questions that I can come up with, and then that kind of be on mine, and then we just kind of back and forward, tag each other's channel in it and refer back and forth to each other's channels. But yeah, and I'm sure there'll be some videos that'll come along as far as I want to try to get Scott in a video. I don't know if I can get him up here, but maybe he can come up on a Saturday and or something like that when he's not working. Or I don't know if he has the ability to do a remote like we do. So it'd probably be something I would need to maybe get him, maybe lure him up here to come up here and swim in the pool. And then, shoot a quick video with him. That way you guys and talk with him about it. Talk about, what mine and his thoughts about what our trip is going to be like. And what are we doing to prepare for the trip and things like that. And talk about how he just got suckered in, to it. And because my wife didn't want to go. I offered to take April. April's like, I don't want to go. And I was like, okay, cool. And I'm a very independent person. I'm like, okay, I'll book me a ticket and I'll get. She's like, you're going by yourself? And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, oh, you're going to be sitting with the other guys? I'm like, no, their sections are sold out. I said, I'll just get me a ticket somewhere by myself. And she's like, you're going to sit by yourself? She's like, that is so sad. She's like, you got to take Scott. And I was like, I don't even know if Scott can afford it. She's like, surprising, bless him, and then I got him on a payment plan. So he's paying me for the plane ticket, and he's paying me for the ticket, and he's paying me for the sound check ticket. And I told him, bring you some food money, bring you some spending money. You don't even have to have me paid off by the time, because the money's already spent. You don't have to have me paid off by the time we go. He says he's going to. So, I'm like, you don't have to worry about paying me for the hotel. The hotel was going to be the price whether you're there or not. So don't worry about the hotel. So, and he's real excited. So I'd like to get him up here and just talk about it. That'll probably be a video too.
Cool. Right on. This is of all the podcasts that we've done. I don't know if I've been more excited. It would be great if somebody just hands us tickets to the New York show. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this almost might be better than the New York show. Yeah, there could be a bunch of people we could run into there, but I feel like this is something for us as individual fans and friends doing a podcast that it'd be great to be able to meet some people, outside of the podcast, but for all of us to be able to be together, that we've been in each other's videos and podcasts, is going to be something really cool. And hopefully you guys out there listening, this is going to be a cool road trip. So coming up on the next Road to Rosemont. This is the first time everyone's hearing that. A thing that my wife and I love to listen to in the car is Sirius XM, and they have road trip radio. So like we do on this channel, the 9 is the big thing. What is going to be your 9 road trip ready Kiss songs? That these are the songs you get in the car, you want to crank it up to 10, and you're going on a drive. So we'll have, and I'm even thinking of doing a playlist on Spotify of the RBTE Road to Rosemont road trip radio. So if you are going to Rosemont, by the time we all go through all of our 9s, you'll have a nice long set list that you can listen to on the way. So it'll be really cool to see if we have any crossover or not. So that is going to be on the next one. We've got everybody's handles here. They are in the description down below in the video that'll be produced, and in the audio you'll be able to find everyone's link. Go check everyone's page out. So on the behalf of Nick, Nico, Brant, and Xander, and Jeb, who's not here, I'm Rob. You've been listening and watching to Right Between the Eyes podcast with 3, 4, 5, 6 people that are taking a trip to Rosemont. We'll see you guys next month on Road to Rosemont Part 2. So no one else gave their handles at the end of it, so that's the only reason why I didn't do that.
That's fine. Yeah, you're going to have it tagged enough and stuff like that.
Yeah. So
they're going to know us by the end of this.
Yeah, they're going to go, we get it. You're going to.
We know where you are. We know how to find you. Yeah.